Dunkin' has a whole new line of handcrafted signature lattes. Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, and Cocoa Mocha. They're so delicious, you'll realize that you've been spending a whole latte time drinking the wrong coffee. So even though you've been together for years, it's time to say goodbye to your ex. Coffee Place. Because you've got a latte love for Dunkin's signature lattes. Sipping is believing with Dunkin's new handcrafted signature lattes, like Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, or Cocoa Mocha. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
We're gonna have a TV party tonight. Alright! We're gonna have a TV party, alright! Tonight! We've got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews. Everybody's gonna hang out here tonight! Alright! We'll pass out on the couch. Alright! Tonight! We've got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews. Don't talk about anything else. We don't want to know. We're dedicated to our favorite shows.
And tonight, our favorite show is WWE Presents Extreme Rules, brought to you by the good people at the WWE, the Wells Fargo Center, and the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich, and we have a panel of guests for you tonight that's better than any panel you've ever seen on a Monday night recording wrestling for an hour at about 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, by God. Joining us on the podcast, straight out of Brooklyn, y'all, by way of wherever the hell he lives now, he's the host of the Cosmic Treadmill podcast. How you doing, Chris Sheehan?
Hey, how are you? How's it going?
Quite well, sir. Quite well. Glad to have you back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And joining me fresh off a marathon recording session where we compared AEW's Fight for the Fallen to Evolve's 10th anniversary special. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the man known as Chris Bailey, otherwise known as CB3. How do you do? How do you do? How do you do?
I challenge all you bitches to a coal miner's glove match right now.
Thank you, Jim Cornette. And joining us from the daycare center he's currently running, where children are running wild and playing a Brahms lullaby, ladies and gentlemen, it's the man known as TMC. How you doing, Tom?
How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. As your children there, they're playing that piano. I think they have a career in music, I believe.
Hopefully.
So is it smashing the keys with their fingers, or are they just banging it with a hammer?
Probably a little bit of both.
Terrific. All right. Let's not waste any time. We have 106 matches to get through, and they were all 20 minutes long, so except for one. So let's get to it. First, going into it, expectations. You know, the WWE, bit of a dry spell lately, having some difficulties, some uneven shows, some not so great shows. But maybe we're in the beginnings of an upswing. Maybe, you know, with a couple of weeks ago, they brought on Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff, though tonight starts their actual running of the shows. We had the bit with Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley crashing through the set, which was kind of seemed like very Paul Heyman-ish. So what going into this, Chris? Any expectations, or you think, another slog of a WWE night?
You know, I was hopeful that this was going to be like a lot of climaxes here, just a lot of things coming to a close, shutting some doors, and maybe opening a few more. So I was looking forward to it from that regard, since the creative tenures of Heyman and Bischoff start tonight, the day after Extreme Rules. I thought that this might be a really neat way to draw a line under hopefully the end of this dry spell. So in that regard, I was tentatively looking forward to it. Wasn't sure what to expect from some of the matches. Some of the matches I thought were going to deliver, and a lot of those flip-flopped as we watched the show. But we'll get into that as we go.
Sure. Chris, what were your expectations going into the show? Were you hopeful, or was it just, another just slip my wrist night?
I am always in fear of the WWE pay-per-view. I never know what I'm in store for, with the exception of a long night. That's always guaranteed. But I looked in horror as I saw Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura start the show on the pre-show. So I didn't know if that was an omen of things to come, but this show was not terrible. So I will lead with that. And
Tom, what were your expectations of this show?
I didn't really have many expectations of the show. I just went into it with, okay, they're going to have something different for me, or it's going to be the exact same as everything else. So,
all right. So let's talk about the pre-show. We're going to kind of group these two together. We had, as Chris pointed out, the horror that was Nakamura versus Finn Balor on the pre-show, and then Drew Gulak just coming off his loss to the original Bro, Matt Riddle, versus Tony Nese. Shinsuke defeated Finn Balor for the Intercontinental title. Hey, remember when that was a main card thing? And Drew Gulak retained his Cruiserweight title against Tony Nese, the former Cruiserweight champ. Former? Yes? No? Yeah, former Cruiserweight champion.
Yes.
All right, Chris, what'd you think of the pre-show? Bailey. Chris Sheehan. Sheehan.
I actually didn't see the pre-show. I didn't watch this live. I watched this at like 5 o'clock this morning, and when I hit start, it just started with the main show. So I didn't see either of the pre-show matches.
Fantastic. Chris Bailey.
Very, very basic for a Finn Balor Shinsuke Nakamura match, to be quite honest with you. The Shinkasa, or whatever the heck his knee strike is, it never fails to disappoint me. I guarantee you, it's one of the sloppiest, low-impact moves I've ever seen. Finn Balor seems like he's just on a trajectory to nowhere, man. I don't know what it is with this guy. He doesn't seem that he's... The crowd reaction to him is just blah. It's just meh. So I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to this guy. It's pretty clear with this loss that either they've got something big planned for him, or he's going to be having a fun little time over on 205 Live. I don't know what to think of Balor, but I just have to trust Heyman, or not Heyman, I should say, trust Bischoff with Balor's career, and hope to God that it comes out to be something. As for Drew Gulak and Tony Nese, they had a traditional 205 Live match, which was a whole lot of kickouts and beat my finishers and all that stuff. But I think the thing that was striking was that this was a different Drew Gulak than we saw in the Evolve pay-per-view with Catchpoint and the things like that. So this really shows you that the WWE and what could be are two separate things. So there's a lot of room for improvement on both of these matches.
Yeah, I think there's the WWE when Daddy is drunk and not in his sleep, which is really good. And then there's that when Daddy's watching, and it's it's McDonald's, it's fast food, it's it's prefab, it's everything's in a neat little box, and sometimes that works, and sometimes it's the drizzling shits. Neither Drew Gulak nor Tony Nese are bad wrestlers, but I think they're given a set of IKEA instructions to follow, and they follow them, and they get paid, and everyone's happy. But it's not a memorable match. What do you think, Tom?
Oh, I 100% agree. Just have a Shinsuke Finn Balor match on the pre-card show with the Intercontinental Championship is mind-boggling to me. Those two should have been able to steal the entire show if they were given a time frame to do so. And
go ahead.
I'm liking the new Drew Gulak, so we'll see.
Let me say this about Finn Balor, and then we'll move on. I think, he came in hot, obviously, in NXT. He was, I think for the big shows, he was doing the Demon, and he was running with the NXT title there for a while. And then he kind of blew up on the launch pad, getting injured on Raw. And I think with Vince McMahon, if you meet the height requirement to ride the roller coaster for him, he'll forgive a lot of transgressions, like getting injured or wanting to have a life or getting married or anything, like normal stuff. But I think if you don't quite make the height and body requirements and you do one of those things, like get injured, get sick, want time off, need to pee, cough, anything, then it's like you're never forgiven, he doesn't believe in you, and it's like the entire team having to get behind Finn Balor, like, no, he's really good, Vince, please forgive him his transgression. It's like, nah, fuck this guy. And then there's Nakamura, who is trying to learn English, and apparently, Vince is like, that's my guy. All right.
I like the fact that he tries to teach Japanese people, extremely basic English. There's no attempt to do anything outside of 3 words.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I beat you. I will win.
I'm sure backstage Vince is going to Nakamura, okay, say prayers, say vitamins. Can you do it in that order? So I think right now we're dealing with just 2 guys where they're trying to figure out where to put them on the roster. Both of them have had their time at the top. They were both at the top of NXT. I think with Nakamura never really blew up on the launch pad, but like I said, I think with Vince looks at these 2 guys as, one looks like a cruiserweight and and one looks like a guy who doesn't know English. And then that's where he stands with them. And it's like we're not really getting past.
That looks like he doesn't know English.
Correct.
Amazing.
And it's like we never really move past. We never move the goalpost past that. And so there they are doing 8-minute matches on the pre-show. The Undertaker and his boy Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon and his boy Drew McIntyre. I think we're all about ready for Shane McMahon to get buried alive, for real though.
Agreed, 100%.
I think we're all ready for Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre to move the fuck on and do something else. And The Undertaker still sells tickets for some strange reason. So this was about 17 minutes. It kicked off the card. It was pretty inoffensive. The Undertaker didn't pull his groin or anything. No one got knocked unconscious, and Shane took a beating. I think, and I think this is all you could ask for with this match. What do you think, Sheehan?
Well, if looking at the color of Shane's face, if he doesn't get his blood pressure checked, he's going to be buried pretty soon. He looks like if you put a tomato in the microwave, he's just about to explode.
Yeah, he's looking a little Veruca Salt these days.
He sure is. I actually get that reference, even though I never saw the movie. But I thought Undertaker did fantastic, considering the last time we saw him, he probably was in no condition to do half of what he did.
I was going to say
did very well.
I think he was in a rom-com with Goldberg where they were knocking each other unconscious.
Will they? Won't they? It's a lot of mixed messages in that match.
Yes,
but this one was really, like you said, it was inoffensive. I only saw a couple times where Taker looked a little cringy, and one was when he failed to get Shane up for the tombstone the first time. But before that, it was when he went to do the old school move, he looked like he was a little ginger on the top rope there. It looked he was a little cautious, which, I guess you have to be. But other than that, I'm going to echo a lot of what you said here. I think Drew and Roman need a divorce. They need to move their separate ways. Roman needs to get back to his damn show. He hasn't been on SmackDown in weeks. He is a SmackDown guy, right? Allegedly?
Allegedly, yes.
Yeah, allegedly, yeah.
So we haven't seen him on SmackDown in well over a month at this point. So he needs to get back to doing stuff over there. Let Drew do whatever he's doing on Raw, but definitely separate. And maybe, like I said earlier, I think maybe this was hopefully closing a door a bit on Shane. Maybe put him out for a little while. But then again, he could start the show tonight for all I know. I couldn't tell you.
I want Roman Reigns and Kofi Kingston to start feuding going into SummerSlam, and I want Roman Reigns to change nothing about himself, and then let him get booed, let him get turned heel kind of naturally, but don't change a thing. Don't make him do heel things. Don't make him bad. Don't make him yell at the crowd.
Friends with the heels. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't just let him get booed mercilessly against long-timer and fan favorite Kofi Kingston, and I think. Just leave him alone. Let him just be Joe, and I think he's fine. I think his real name is Joe. And I actually think him and Kofi Kingston can put on some really good matches. Because Roman Reigns is not a bad wrestler.
Not at all.
He has the unfortunate consequence of being anointed by Vince McMahon, and then everyone hates him because of it. So I'd like to, and I think moving on from Drew McIntyre into a feud with Kofi Kingston on SmackDown, the show he's on, would actually be really, I think should be the next logical move. But I'm sure he'll fight Shane McMahon till we're all dead. Chris Bailey.
Yes, sir. So when you look at this match, I think Chris was right on the money when he was talking about Shane McMahon. This guy has one hell of a blood pressure problem. This guy sweat. Let's be honest here. He looked like he was ready to explode, especially if you take a look at one spot in the match when he did the, what does he call it? When he does the Rob Van Dam with the garbage can in the corner. Coast to coast. He looked like he was ready to, like, completely self-explode, like he was ready to blow up. But I will say, Shane McMahon got a tremendous amount of, offense in this match. He had all the big spots. He had the coast to coast. He had the gigantic elbow drop of doom onto the tables to the outside. Way more offense than this guy should be getting. I don't know why they keep pushing Shane McMahon, but I guess there's money in being the boss's son, I assume. The only thing I can say is Drew McIntyre. This guy seriously needs to either leave this company temporarily just to refresh himself, or something needs to happen here, man, because this guy is just lost. Overall, I enjoyed the match. I will say the funniest part of the entire show was when Undertaker looked like he was about to botch the move when Shane ran towards him with the tombstone. And literally, he wasn't going to have another Goldberg thing. He literally set Shane down. He shook his head, and then he picked his ass up and he tombstoned him through the mat.
I believe
awesome.
Randy Orton pulled a hole out in time and space and yelled "stupid, stupid, stupid," and then zipped it back up again.
That is exactly what happened. You got to rewatch that section. If you guys are following along at home, literally watch the ending to this match. It is, the look on the Undertaker's face is priceless, but served its point. Nothing really exceptional here. The only thing it was over, and that was well enough for me.
Tom, real quick, Undertaker, Roman Reigns versus going to die of a heart attack and Drew McIntyre.
I think this match is very paint by numbers. It was very, what can we get Shane to do to take a big bump? What can Taker do that it's not going to break a hip or injure himself permanently? And when he jumps off the top rope from old school, he's like he springs himself and then he kind of just like flops off the rope there. And then I thought he was going to go down the pile after his tombstone.
All right, so my favorite tag team right now, the Revival, who apparently, I guess, are back in the good graces of the WWE. I don't know if they've re-signed or not, or if they're still like, fuck off, we're going to AEW, where we're not doing stupid skits. They're the tag team champs on Raw, and they fucking won. They beat the Usos, who I've hated in every iteration of their gimmick and still do.
Oh boy.
So I'll tell you what, man. The lost art of tag team wrestling is not just being propped up by the Young Bucks. The Revival is, I think, one of the best tag teams out there, and when they're allowed to just wrestle and do that, and do the classic tag team stuff that they were known for, and made them the apple of our eye in NXT. They're just a sight to behold, and beautiful and wonderful, and one of my favorite matches of the weekend. I know I've said that already, but it's true. What did you think, Sheehan?
I think the only thing that this match suffered was that it came after another tag match, and it was such a raucous tag match that it followed. But I thought this was a wonderful match. The closing sequence with, I can't remember which guy it is. What are their names? Was it Dash? Is Dash the one with hair?
Dash and Dawson. I think
Dash is the one with the hair and the tattoo?
Dash has hair, Dawson is bald.
Okay. Yeah, when he ran up the ropes in that tornado DDT, but like faked so he could get the phantom tag.
So good.
that was gorgeous. And then parlaying that right into the Shadow Machine, that was I don't think you could do that better if you tried. I thought that was just wonderful. I hope they're back in the good graces, or are considering re-signing, because or sticking around, I guess, because they are They're too good to let go. They're really, really.
I'll tell you what. I don't want him to leave because I want him to stay in the most successful company in the world right now, where they can make the most money. But if they left, had one match with the Young Bucks, and then just went back to the planet they came from, I'd be just as happy. And I would find out wherever in the world they're having that match. I would sit front row for the Revival versus the Young Bucks, and then that would be it. I'd be done.
I've never watched a single Young Bucks match.
You're not missing much, but
I can't get past their faces. They inspire me to want to grow more fists so I can punch more things.
I'm pretty sure they're the same guy, but one of them's a clone.
They just look so douchey. Oh, they look so douchey. So I've never watched a single match of theirs. I've never watched a single Being the Elite or whatever the hell they call their little show. I've never watched any of that. I can't do it.
I'm an adult. Neither have I. But I will say this. When the Young Bucks aren't doing snarky super kick parties and not taking the wrestling industry seriously, when they're actually doing, and I saw this on Fight for the Fallen, when they're actually doing classic tag team stuff, they're really quite good. They're very evocative of the height of the Rockers era wrestling, and so you see. So I mean, like, one of the best tag team matches of yore was like the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation on the main event. When everyone got to see it, when the ropes broke, when people actually got to see that match properly. Yes. The Hart Foundation and the Rockers really put on a clinic, and so when I think of what's the modern day Hart Foundation Rockers, it's the Revival and the Young Bucks. So I'd like to see it at least once.
I get it. I get into like they have like a finishing move called the Meltzer Driver. Get the hell out of here! With that. I can't do that. It's kiss my ass.
I'm trying to be nice here. Like here's some positive stuff about the Young Bucks when they're not douche nozzles. Chris Bailey, anything else on the Revivals and the Usos?
I will say the Usos need to really stop that talking rap that they do coming to the ring. That literally needs to go away. I've seen bad iterations of this gimmick, but this one sucks.
Someone bring out Ray Traylor to put him in the actual penitentiary.
Jesus, somebody stop this act. So just very quickly, really solid match going through. I love the Shatter Machine as a finish, man. That is one of the best tag team finishes since the 3D with the Dudley Boys. I mean, this thing looks impactful. It kills. It really, really looks like a solid finish. And when they hit the damn thing, people actually get beat with it, which is a uncommon thing in 2019, let's be honest. The only thing that I could say about this is you talk about, the Revival going to AEW. This actually looks like, this push is done in good faith. So it seems like an attempt to retain this team because I think they see the importance of these guys. And this is Tully and Iron 2019, man. You really got to hold on to a team that can give so much value to tag team wrestling, and that's what I got to say. And the Usos can go fly a fucking kite with that stupid rap.
The Usos can fuck right off. Tom, last words here on the Revival and the Usos. Go.
I thought it was a very good match. The people that should have won. I think the Usos need to change their gimmick a little bit. Maybe have like some Samoan like mafia thing on the go at Roman. Make them all heels. Could be an interesting direction for them now.
I said before, I think Roman Reigns needs flunkies, and whether it's the one guy that Shane beat the shit out of on NXT or what's his fucking nuts from Fatu in MLW, if they bring him in, or Mulata from Evolve. Let's get some flunkies.
No Mulata, please. No Mulata.
Let's get some flunkies around Roman Reigns and then have him feud with the New Day. That would be
have the Samoan Mafia or something.
Mm-hmm. Bring on the Samoan swap machine from 2019 iteration. All right.
You mean between Nia Jax and Tamina, and Tamina's not Samoan?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you're from an island, you're Samoan. Alistair.
We're from an island. I'm not Samoan.
Alistair Black and Cesaro had a match. I missed Cesaro's I'm James Bond gimmick that he had before he was in the bar. And Alistair Black throws some pretty nasty looking kicks. Chris? Sheehan?
Cesaro is too good for this world. He is just... I love this guy. I wish that they would get behind him and he didn't get over without the approval of the office because he is just too damn good. I don't like that you get that curse when you're too good at something. He's really good at putting people over, and he's easy to rebuild. So that seems to be the cycle they've got Cesaro in. They built him up. They had him beat Ricochet a couple times, and now he jobs to Black. I thought it was an awesome match, hard hitting. The springboard European uppercut was just super heroic. Time slowed down when Cesaro did that. It was just amazing. The kick from Black to end the match was well placed. It actually hit this time, so that was good. And there's been a few times where he's missed by a mile and a half, and the guy still sells it. But this was a really, really good match. I wish it went the other way, but I understand what they're doing with Black being the new kid on the block.
Yeah, Cesaro's kind of in the Dolph Ziggler downswing.
He's the gatekeeper, yeah.
Yeah, Jabba to the stars kind of a thing, and that's fine. He can make a lot of people look good. I think the window where he could have been a main eventer has shut, and the
Cesaro section's gone.
Yeah, so maybe bring back breakaway suits. I like that.
There you go.
be James Bond, goddammit, because God knows we're not having any more of those. We could bring some. Oh, none of you people watch movies or know what I'm talking about. Never mind. Chris Bailey, Aleister Black, James Bond, go.
So we talked a little bit about Evolve earlier. So if anyone wants to check out that podcast, by all means, jump back. We talked about Akira Tozawa being the opponent for Adam Cole. It should have been Cesaro. You talk about a guy who can bring the dance. This match was only 10 minutes. It was one of the only ones in the entire weekend that I wish went actually a little bit longer. And I mean that's saying a lot when it comes to this weekend. I don't know. 10 minutes was. I would have wanted to see this go a little bit more. Aleister Black, you know what? Really doesn't impress me. Cesaro really impresses me. Everything that he does, that springboard uppercut, man. I'm telling you right now, that is poetry.
I don't know, man. When Aleister Black kicks you, organs bruise.
But that's all he's got. He's got a kick. Like the Young Bucks have a kick. I just don't care. Ooh, look at me. I've got some tattoos and a cool hairdo.
But when the Young Bucks kick, a mosquito dies. When Aleister Black kicks you, your heart dies.
Fair game.
Dave Meltzer's heart skips a beat, too.
They're toning down his entrance, too. Like, this guy is supposed to have an amazing entrance with the little backboard that comes up and like the whole goth type thing. I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling this guy's vibe. I don't know. And Cesaro, Jesus, what do you do with the guy? I don't know. Hopefully Heyman makes some sense out of him, or Bischoff eventually. I don't know, but yeah, 10 minutes. I wish it went longer. It was the right finish, obviously, but so much more to see from these two guys.
We need Aleister Black versus Daniel Bryan for an hour just kicking each other.
That'll work.
And
no mosquitoes will die.
No mosquitoes will die. Aleister Black, Cesaro.
I love Aleister Black's character, being a former goth kid myself. And have a boatload of tattoos. Mr. Bailey. Aleister Black, I'm behind his gimmick. I love his gimmick. And I like his opponent, but I don't like the fact that Cesaro's being buried and just an enhancement talent now. I think he's too good for that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I said, if the boss doesn't see anything in you, you could be the world's greatest wrestler and everything else, and it's just nothing matters.
And he's got those ugly tattoos, those terrible tattoos.
Well, no, nobody has uglier tattoos than Randy Orton.
Oh no.
Randy Orton looks like a shitty tattoo on like Universal City Walk. You know what I mean? Like you just walk into like a chain tattoo place, and there's just flash everywhere on the wall. It's like, come get a tattoo, be dangerous. That's all Randy Orton. Randy Orton is a walking flash tattoo parlor.
I thought he was just a skull fetishist. I wasn't sure.
Randy Orton's a fucktard. How about that? Speaking of which, Bayley versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. This was fine. But this was one of those weird things. Like, I don't know if the conclusion really merited the story. I mean, yeah, Bayley overcame the odds in beating Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, but I've seen this match. I've seen it done better, and it's not like the wrestling wasn't the problem. The psychology the execution. This was one of those where I wasn't necessarily expecting Sasha Banks to show up, but I was expecting a little more out of Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss using their advantage and really making Bayley earn it. And the only one that bought that Bayley was in trouble was my 8-year-old daughter, who has to hide her face at the movies when it gets too intense for her. Everybody else in the world was like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This seemed kind of Disney and not HBO, and it needed to be HBO. You know what I mean, Sheehan?
Agreed.
No.
I think it feels like something might have changed before this match, because they were doing. Nikki was saying, "You need to get a friend. You have no friends." So I think, unless we were just supposed to think Sasha was going to show up, it feels like they were actually building toward that. Where it's like, well, you don't know what it's like to have a friend. You need a friend. So it's like, well, obviously that she's got a friend. When she didn't show up,
send Alicia Fox out there and have her pour Fanta on herself again. Then
she's everybody's friend. But it was. It seemed like that was what the expectation was, and the fact we didn't get that might have deflated the crowd a bit. The crowd was kind of hot and cold all night. I think Bayley is a competent worker, but it seems like every time she's on pay-per-view, she's like off by a half second. There were a few moves that were executed really sloppily, just mistimed. And like you said, there was really no feeling of urgency. There was no feeling of that she was in any kind of a danger or threat of losing her title, because they weren't playing up, like you said, the psychology between, even like Alexa being domineering to Nikki. They actually felt like a well-oiled tag team,
right?
Which I don't think it was supposed to be. I think there was supposed to be a lot of dysfunction. There was supposed to be some like idol worship coming from Nikki.
I was going to say, what there should have been was Bliss standing on the corner yelling "kill" at Nikki,
yelling orders. Yeah, exactly. And then only tagging herself in when Bayley's prone, and then tagging out quickly when Bayley gets the upper hand again.
Right.
But it was played way too straight, and I don't like Sasha Banks all that much, but I was expecting her to come back. So if she did come back, it wouldn't have really affected me any. But I was expecting it, and when it didn't happen, it was just like, well, what was the point?
Well, yeah,
it just felt.
Now that you say that out loud, it's like, yeah, that's it. It's like they did nothing with the gimmick, and then Bayley won, and it was like, well, this was a whole lot of
clean.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Bayley.
Yeah, not much to say about this one. With the only thing that I can say is that it looked like we're missing something. It looked like there's a storyline that they've either given up on in regards to Alexa Bliss turning on Nikki Cross, or they're going to play it out a little longer. I was just looking for that one little nuance from Alexa Bliss when Nikki Cross took the loss, like just one little sly or something to show on camera that she was disappointed or setting her up, but we got nothing. So it seems like if you're just looking at this match, it looks like these people have no problem with each other and they're best friends, and not as sucky best friends as the ones in AEW, but that's another story. But anyway, I had to throw that in there, Thomas. Sorry. Outside of that, paint by numbers. Bayley was sloppy as shit. I love the Randy Savage elbow that she does, and that's all I got to say about that.
What a weird world we live in when Bayley peaked on an NXT show with Sasha Banks like a few years ago. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
that was an amazing match.
Yeah, the one where they headline and she finally beat Sasha Banks. Who would have thought that would have been the height of her career? Like, weird.
They just didn't get her gimmick on the main roster, man. They just don't understand it.
Dude, I thought she was female John Cena, but at this point she's not quite where we were talking about with Cesaro and some of these guys. But if things don't change, she's going to drop that title back to Alexa Bliss because she's blonde and she's clearly one of Vince's favorites. And then she's going to be on 205 Live fighting Drew Gulak or some shit. It's like she's gone. She's done.
She's supposed to be the shucks every fan, but she's just not that anymore.
All right, Tom, what you got for me?
I don't have much of anything. I actually enjoy Nikki Cross's character prior to whatever this is she's doing here, because she does a crazy thing one minute, and then she's Alexa Bliss's favorite person on the planet the next. So I kind of wish they would just keep Nikki Cross as crazy and destroy everybody. But I don't know. I don't know where to go from here, because you would think there would be some either hostility between Cross and Bliss after the end of this match, but it didn't happen.
No,
so
the way they booked the psychology of this match, Nikki Cross should have murdered Bayley.
I agree.
Rung her bell from pillar to post, put her through every table, put her through a fan, drop her from the ceiling, and then Alexa Bliss walks out, goes to pin her.
With the title.
And then Alexa Bliss then tags in, and then Bayley schoolboys her, and like, what the fuck after all that? But at least then Nikki Cross looks like a crazy person who's a real danger. Alexa Bliss, that manipulative heel, didn't get it this time, and Bayley comes out looking like the come from behind hero, and at least there's some drama here. This was just a High School Musical. Speaking of High School Musicals, Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley in an almost 20-minute last man standing match.
Screw this match.
Oh, really?
With Dream. Vince McMahon with Dream, this was.
Oh, I love this. So this was just two muscle guys beating the living fuck out of each other. And they're, and it's one of these things where we've seen a lot of this before. But what do you do to kind of freshen it up, give it a new coat of paint, make it interesting for people? And then they did the one spot at the end, and I was like, well, I hadn't seen that before. A power slam to nowhere in particular.
Then they did the Kool-Aid Man spot. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I laughed my fucking ass off at that.
I gotta give it. That was good. That was good. That should be meme and gift.
That should be Braun's entrance from now on. Remember how Steve Austin used to walk through broken glass? Please have Braun Strowman walk through walls. And keep doing it. Just anytime, like, he walks into Vince's office, walks through the wall. It's like, damn it, Braun, I said use the door. Please have him walking through more walls. You know what I mean, Chris? Sheehan?
Yes, I do. I thought this was a fun match. It might have went a little too long for me, but the Strowman and Lashley feud, it's been stale for a little while. They've been putting these like really cool bits in there, like running through the Tron a couple weeks ago. But other than that, it's been pretty stale stuff. I mean, they had arm wrestling matches and tugs of war. It's like really, really lame in my opinion. This match, just like you said, two dudes just beating the crap out of each other. Lashley takes the loss, but doesn't really lose any steam. I mean, he got his ass kicked, but he kicked as much ass as he took. I think both guys come out of this looking stronger, and hopefully this is enough to draw a line under this feud, and they can maybe both go their own ways here. I think there's like a battle royal tonight on Raw for the number one contender to Brock, to whoever won the title at the end of this show at SummerSlam. And I think they're both in it, but hopefully this marks a little bit of an end of their one-on-one feud.
Yeah, this needs to be the end. Here's the problem. Braun Strowman I love, and unfortunately I think pissed people off, and so he's getting his hand slapped there for a while. I think he's on an upswing. I think we're going to start seeing him back in the main event, and maybe this time get, actually do something with his push, which I'm fine with. I've turned around on Braun because I was really sour on him in the beginning. I thought he got too much too fast. Now he's been there for a while. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with you. You're good. Let's get you some main events. Bobby Lashley is unfortunately just a body being run by two lab mice bent on taking over the world. There's no personality there. He's he's just a body, and so it's hard to do anything with him. His best stuff was with Leo Rush, and Leo Rush apparently his head got too big and he floated off to Oz. So we're done with that, and there's nothing left. So Bobby Lashley needs to go find something else to do for a while, like go to NXT or something. I don't know, but I'm kind of done with Bobby Lashley for the time being. What do you think, Bailey?
I just don't care. You know what? I've seen this video package so many times from Raw. I'm literally sick and tired of the video package, and that really, really dampened my spirits for this one. The Kool-Aid Man thing at the end with Strowman busting out was epic. My question was, and this may be overthinking the WWE's booking strategy, what exactly was the ref counting? He's standing in front of a wall. He cannot see if the guys are standing or not, and it just starts counting to 10. Anyway, maybe
neither one of them showed themselves. Then it would have been a double count out. That's all I can tell you. By the way, if they make a shirt of Braun Strowman breaking through a wall, going, "Oh yeah," I'm buying it.
Oh, absolutely.
I fucking need that shirt.
Oh yeah.
All right, Thomas, take me home here. What are we talking about?
I got nothing to say. No, can't do it. It's Vince McMahon's wet dream right there.
This is not your cup of tea, I'm gathering.
No, not at all. I like Braun Strowman. I think if you're going to have a next contender to a championship, he would be it. But no, can't.
All
I
right.
got no words.
Our next match was the triple threat between the New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods versus D-Bry and Rowan, and good old my son's favorite tag team, the Tonka Trucks turned to life, Otis and Tucker, good old Heavy Machinery. And the New Day won the tag team titles again, and there was much rejoicing. Sheehan.
Who'd have thunk that the Heavy Machinery guys can go like that? Tucker coming off the top rope to the outside, doing a crossbody. Holy smokes! I was not expecting that. I thought the Otis, teasing the jumped outside was pretty funny. I know Kevin Nash used to do that in TNA a few times when he was razzing the cruiserweights or the X Division or whatever they are over there. But really fun match. The New Day winning again really doesn't do anything for me. But if this gets Bryan back into the singles game and maybe into contention for a title, that's all the better for me. But really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Bailey?
I actually found myself cheering for the New Day. This is where I am in 2019 right now. However, I you know what? Heavy Machinery's winning me over, man. These two are serious gamers here. I didn't like the gimmick first when I saw them. I thought they looked awkward together. They're over. They are surprisingly over. And the fact that Rowan and Bryan are just dropping this match to the New Day, I don't really know what to think. But obviously, the whole idea behind this is for Kofi and and the remaining New Day to have all the belts. So something really, really bad is going to take a turn here. We are definitely getting the Rockers ending for when it comes to Big E and Kofi. One thing that I did like, and this is the last thing I'll touch on in this one, was when Bryan was slapping Big E, and he sort of hulked up. I really felt the intensity. I looked at Big E as like, man, this guy can be a player if he's taken serious. So I think we got a lot to build on here. I think this tag team title is just the start of a bigger picture when it comes to the destruction of the New Day. So this is step one.
I've been waiting for Big E to throw Kofi Kingston through a barbershop window for a while now.
I will pay for it. I will actually hire and pay for Beefcake's ticket to set up the. Me and you, Chris, will just walk backstage. Me and you, Chris, will just walk backstage at Raw with a plate glass window, following Kofi Kingston around. Throw him through.
We're here. Tom, anything on the triple threat?
Thought it was a good match, nice and clean. I do agree that I think it's time for the New Day to go their separate ways, potentially, and I think E is the best one to do that. But I think they should be thrown into a vat of maple syrup in Canada.
Fair enough. AJ Styles with Luke Gallows and Anderson, the Club. Don't call him the Bullet Club because that's copyrighted. Versus defeated Ricochet. Ricochet, not as fun on the main roster as he was in NXT when he was allowed to be Ricochet. This is kind of, he's no longer Ricochet. He's just kind of ricking. He's just, kind of a slow, he's one of those cartoon slow bullets now. Or the Bugs Bunny pitch where he throws a slow ball and everybody's striking out and missing the ball. That's kind of Ricochet now. These two had a match. AJ Styles is now a bad guy, but don't call him a bad guy because he's not a bad guy. Get it? Sheehan?
Haven't we seen this match every week for the past month and a half now?
Every single week.
Oh, Lord. And, I didn't watch this live, and this was the first time my finger started moving toward the fast forward. Because we've seen this match just so many damn times. Both these guys are great. Ricochet, like you said, is not as much fun on the main roster. I think ever since they handed him a microphone and said, say aw shucks into that camera, it really hurt him. Because before that, I didn't think he was a geek, and now I think he's a geek. But I think the right guy won if you're trying to build the club, and they're not going to give him a world title. So I was happy with the outcome. It went on a bit long. It's repetitive. I'm glad it's over.
Stone Cold Kevin Owens defeated Dolph Jarrett Ziggler. Sheehan.
This one was pretty quick, and thankfully it was quick.
Do you remember the night on Raw where Steve Austin stunned fucking everybody in every segment? I think they were in Rochester because I was there live for this, to the point where even I was like a huge Steve Austin fan, was getting irritated by it. Every damn segment. This is when they were doing the NWA gimmick where Jarrett came out as like the NWA champion or whatever.
The North American champion. Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, every segment Steve Austin was running, like somebody would come and go, I got something to say, and Steve Austin would come up through the mat like the Undertaker and stun somebody and dive back down to hell again. You know, it was every goddamn segment. This was only 13 segments, felt like that entire 2 hours of Raw.
And I like Ziggler a lot, and I like Owens a lot, but there were way too many matches on this card, so the little break we got here was welcome. It was like a mercy match for us, just to get one crossed off the list.
I was gonna say it really wasn't a match. It was a promo. It was a promo with a stunner.
Squash.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I love Kevin Owens. He's one of my favorites, but really. Really, Bailey? Really?
Well, Jesus Christ, son, I got to give the man a stunner, you know? Oh, I don't know. I just think this is just a train wreck. So I'll start with Rakakit and Aj Styles up here at the first part of the match. I don't really know, man. Like you said, Sheehan, this match has been on every single show that we've ever watched in the past year, it seems. Couldn't care less. I literally did fast forward with my good old handy-dandy trusty Roku remote. That did get the fast forward. Thank be the Jesus. I was delayed a little bit. As for Kevin Owens, Stone Cold Kevin Owens and that shitty new stunner he has, it is what it is, man. You know what? You could stick Dolph Ziggler and you could stick Finn Balor and Nakamura in a cannon and shoot them to the moon. It does not matter. They are.
Goddamn.
Yo, goddamn, son. We got
Goddamn.
Vince got these rats.
Bring out the barbershop window. We'll throw them all fucking through it.
All right, Tom. We talked about AJ and Ricochet. We talked Stone Cold Kevin Owens versus fucking Dolph Jarrett Ziggler. What do you got for me?
I like the Ricochet and AJ match. I think if you're going to do anything with Finn Balor, maybe bring him into the fold there. I think that's what he needs. I think he needs to be heel.
Yep, I agree.
And I think the proper person won that. I think Ricochet needs a little bit of work. As for KO Steve Austin here, not behind it. Don't like it. I like the premise and the idea of it, but I don't like the execution of this at all.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Kevin Owens kind of being the new, everyman, yelling, kind of being the voice of the frustrated fan kind of a thing. I'm done with Dolph Ziggler and send him to fucking NXT at this point, or Evolve, or AEW, or Game Changer Wrestling. I don't care. Hit him with a light tube and send him away. I'm done with Dolph Ziggler. Get back in the box with the rest of the Spirit Squad, you fuck. I'm just done with this guy, and we need to move on. There's 87,000 people on this roster. Can we please be done with Dolph Ziggler? Kofi Kingston versus poor Samoa Joe. Oh, Joe, poor Joe. Remember when Joe and Angle main evented a cage match, and it was the best and most successful pay-per-view TNA has ever run in the history of evers? God damn. What happened here? Did Vince McMahon get a tape of Samoa Joe and Scott Steiner just burst in the room, yelled, "He's fat," and Vince was like, "You're right," and that was the end of it?
You're right, that guy is fat.
It's like, we're done with Samoa Joe. He's fat. Apparently, Eric Bischoff, also not a fan of Joe, found him hard to work with in TNA. So, jobber to the stars, Samoa Joe lost to Kofi Kingston, and there was much rejoicing, Sheehan.
Screw this match. Oh, man, this was awful. I mean, the match itself was okay, but come on. Give Joe something. He's another one like Cesaro. It's easy to build him up, rack him up a bunch of wins over some geeks. but then he's just never going to get the job done. And at least maybe hit him with 2 of the damn spin kicks. It was just one that barely connected with his arm, and it put him down. And really, it just such a letdown, because I think every time Joe's been in a world or universal title match, he was the better guy in the match. And he's got nothing to show for it except a whole lot of L's.
This is a match that Kofi Kingston ultimately should have retained the title, but lost because Samoa Joe refused.
Kicked his ass too much.
Yeah, basically choked him out and refused to let go of the choke, choked him with the ring rope, choked him with Michael Cole, did something. But that's how this should have ended. Joe should have choked out Kofi Kingston unmercifully and then been carried away screaming, and I'm coming for your children next. And so Kofi retains the title. He doesn't get any damage from this. And Samoa Joe looks like a crazy person, and you have something for SummerSlam. Instead, where does Samoa Joe go from here? Let's just do. I guess we'll do what we've been doing for the past few years. We'll have this match 87 more times, and Samoa Joe will lose all of them.
And neither of these guys come out of this looking any better. Kofi gets a flash win, and Joe loses. It doesn't really help either guy's stock, in my opinion. It just such a waste.
No, I actually would say, this match, this was 12 matches, not counting the bit with Brock Lesnar, which we're going to talk about next. Maybe cut this one. Maybe you cut this, cut Aleister Black and Cesaro, and this is a much tighter show. I hate the fact that the average WWE show is now 5 hours long. It drives me up the wall.
No, it's a fact. These are way, way, way too long. And I mean, Styles and Ricochet are two top guys. I enjoy watching them, but that's where I got to the point where where I really wanted to fast forward, and that should never be the case for a big event like this.
Yeah, this show, WWE in general, just needs editing. I don't know. I can't explain. It's like they got the network like, well, we don't have a 3-hour thing we have to do anymore because of pay-per-view. Fuck it. Let's do all the hours. It's like, but why? You're not selling ad time. I don't understand. Why does this have to be half my day?
Because the amount of viewers they have for a longer time, I guess it helps their cachet in some sort of nebulous way that we'll never know about. Because I guess that's what Meltzer and the gang were saying with WrestleMania being, 13 and a half hours long?
I was going to say 106 hours long. It's still going on in New York. People are freezing to death.
It's true. They're waiting for their Ubers. But I guess they said that the more eyes on the network for more hours of the day does something that is way over my head.
You hit it right on the money. It's literally hours viewed is the entire. It's an actual metric that they're trying to achieve.
Fuck me running then.
No,
okay.
sir.
They're trying to compete with like the Netflixes and the Hulus and the Primes and stuff. That there is no competition there, but I think that's. In Vince's mind, it's what they're doing.
Well, it's like the 3-hour Raw. Then it's just something we have to deal with. But as a fan, I can tell you it's way too much.
Fatigue sets in.
3.5 hours. That's about my limit. And then you've lost me. And you could have a guy literally fall off the Hell in the Cell, explode, and take the audience with him. And then have Daffy Duck goes, "I'm sorry, I can only do it once." And I would be like, I don't fucking care.
Yep, exactly.
Speaking of I don't care, go ahead, Tom.
WWE draining, man. Is draining watching the product now. And, AEW is draining, and that's just this one show. But WWE has been draining the life out of me for the past 4 years with their 3-hour Raws, their 13-hour WWE main event, WrestleMania.
All right, so let's talk about our main event. This was fine. This was Seth and Becky versus Danny and Sandy. That's what I'm calling them from now on. Chris Sheehan.
Danny and Sandy.
Chris Sheehan doesn't watch movies. He doesn't know I'm making a Grease reference.
No, I know that one. I was actually in a third grade presentation of Grease back in 1988.
I bet you were.
Sheehan falls into movies, Mark.
I was Putsy.
Oh, you were Putsy? I would have bet money you were Kaniki.
No, that was Putsy.
Kaniki. Maybe that's Ziggler's new gimmick.
I was lugging boxes at Bargain City, you morons. All right, Seth Rollins versus Becky Lynch, and Baron Corbin versus Lacey Evans. This was much better than it had any right to be. Everyone's very sour on Baron Corbin. He is the living embodiment of boredom, for what I've been told. And Lacey Evans can't work and was called up too soon. That's the headline on these two people. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch have all the sexual chemistry of a hammer hitting you in the face. But they're dating in real life, so it's a gimmick, I guess.
Cue the Cannibal Corpse side.
Yeah, really. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, all the sexual chemistry of a hammer smashed face. Very good, Tom. So I mean, but this match was, like I said, it was better than it had any right to be. I was kind of okay with either way, with either Baron Corbin winning or Seth Rollins winning, but they topped it even better with. I loved the finish. The finish made the whole match for me, because even if you had times in the 20 minutes that this match took, you were like, ugh, it's 11 o'clock, I have to go to work tomorrow, get the fuck on with this. They at least, they really swung upwards and swung for the fences with the finish. So you have Baron Corbin, who hits his finisher on poor dear Becky Lynch and murders her, and Seth Rollins goes into Popeye mode, spinach and all, and Lacey Evans runs for her ever fucking life. It's just, oh my! She's just like, I'm going to get murdered by the toxic masculine. And see, heavens to Betsy's up the ramp, and she's gone. And so Seth Rollins then proceeds to knock Baron Corbin from pillar to post, and wins the match, only for Brock Lesnar to come out to murderize him in 13 seconds and win the title. You know, I do a lot of like armchair booking on these reviews. That's, you know, we do the same thing. Like, just don't say something sucks and move on. Give us something better. That's my motto. Like, if you don't like it, how would you make it better? This was so good, I have nothing else to add to this. This was fucking perfect. And as much shit as this got going in, because people were very sour on this match, I really thought it delivered. I thought everybody did a good job, and I'm excited to see what poor schmuck they put in the ring with Brock Lesnar next. Sheehan?
You know, like you just said, it's this was better than it had any right to be if you went from what, you know, the internet was saying or what the fans were saying or whatever. I don't think Lacey's half bad in the ring. I think when she came up, she just had the stigma of being the next blonde that Vince was going to fall in love with. So that was points against her from, you know, the vaunted internet. So she was going to be judged more harshly than she would have otherwise. But I think she's perfectly competent. I think she's growing into the role that she's been given. Corbin is dull, but competent as well. And yeah, I definitely want to agree with your sentiment on the Seth-Becky relationship. It's almost cringe-inducing. They did the promos beforehand, and it's just like they're trying to be like that episode of Seinfeld with the schmoopy, and it's like, this just doesn't work, guys. You gotta, you know, this feels artificial. Cornette used to say, like, we used to not hit people and people thought it hurt, but now we do hit people and people think it's fake. That's kind of the way I feel it is with the Rollins thing. It's like, well, we're being told it's real, but now it feels just so artificial. It feels like it's been built up, and they're just playing roles of each other's significant other.
Hey, not for nothing, but Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch make Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst light up the screen. You know what I'm saying? Anyone that watched the Spider-Man movie? Somebody did. Go on.
But yeah, the ending, I thought the ending was good, except for the fact that after he demolished the Singapore cane on Baron Corbin's back, he hit him with not one, not two, but three stomps within like a half a minute, which tells me that the stomp isn't the kill move that we've been trained to think it is. It's like he hits the stomp and then like 5 seconds later, Corbin's back up for another. That kind of killed the move a little bit for me. But
I'll forgive him that transgression because if he doesn't get up, the move doesn't work.
There you go.
He was mad because he hits his girl.
Like, unless you're taking the bump like the fucking Rock, where you bounce like you're made of silly putty, you can't do it unless he gets up.
Well, yeah, but maybe like Seth like props him up or something, or maybe kicks him, stuns him a bit so he moves a bit. I just thought it really weakened the move to me. Thankfully, it did get a 3 count eventually. And the ending with Brock, fantastic. I know a lot of the internet's sour on the part-time champion, but I friggin' love Brock.
Oh, fuck the internet.
I would love to see Brock just plow through everybody on the roster. Give me 3 hours of Raw tonight with Brock, instead of stunning people, just beating the crap out of everybody.
I would
go into the crowd, start beating up people there. Just
I was
throw
say,
people through windows.
I want to see Brock Lesnar just draw from the spirit of the Ultimate Warrior and Goldberg and be utterly disinterested in wrestling.
Yes.
I want him to be everything every wrestling fan. I want Thomas to jump off his roof every time Brock Lesnar. I'm going to get to you in a sec, Thomas. And I love you, and I don't want you to hurt yourself, but I want you to die inside every time Brock Lesnar comes on the screen. That's what I need here. If you're going to do this, make him anti-everything wrestling fans love. Make him disinterested in the product. Make him disinterested in he has the belt, but he doesn't care. You know, he's not interested in having long matches. He doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to go to order. Follow Brock around with a camera and him going, I just want to go back to my farm. That's
man, you know what? There's money into bringing in old beat down Sable too. Just have him with his haggard wife. She's old. She has to convince him to go to the ring to get his check.
Oh my God,
that's how they make a living.
Please have Sable nagging him in the locker room. Brock, you've got to go perform like Michael Jackson's father. Get out there and perform, Brock.
I want them to have a pair of bears on leashes, because they're in the wilderness. They live in the wilderness, so they got these pet bears.
Please have Brock drive a tractor to the ring. That would be good. Oh God, but this is gold.
A combiner, spitting out bales every few feet.
I don't even want Brock to get dressed anymore. Have him show up in a pair of Zuba pants.
Oh yes,
just some Zuba pants and a fucking and a Brock Party T-shirt. And he's just he shoves the guy down, steps on him. The poor guy
will be gold.
Oh my God.
Speaking of Lesnar, did you see the pictures of his kid?
No.
His kid went to the performance center. He's 17 years old, and he's ripped to shreds.
Oh, give him the title next.
There you go.
just have Brock in the throne, crown on, and just have his kids have all the titles.
Does he look like a large troglodyte like Brock Lesnar too? What does
he looks like a slimmed down version of Brock, but just totally ripped to shreds.
Oh, just consume. Oh gosh, what was his name from the Evolve show that we said was too skinny?
Who?
Curtis Stallion.
Yeah, just have him absorb Curtis Stallion. It'll be fine. All right, we've had a lot of fun with Brock Lesnar. He's one of my favorites. Tom, I'm sure you're ready to hang yourself. I'm sure you've about had enough of us.
This is. I like the match. I love Becky and Rollins versus Corbin and Lacey Evans, and I would have preferred Baron Corbin win this match to have Brock Lesnar come out and cash in. Again, part-time champion kind of feels to me like it's diminishing the work that all those guys are doing and all those girls are doing in that locker room, and it kind of proves the point that what Kevin Owens is fighting for, I guess, in his new promo. But yeah, no, I can't. I got nothing. Absolutely nothing. I want to throw myself off my roof right now. And I guess I gotta watch Raw tonight and then throw myself off the roof again.
You enjoy it, Tommy. You enjoy Brock Lesnar.
No, I can't. I didn't enjoy Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar was, a full-time wrestler.
I was gonna say a wrestler, and
when he was a full-time wrestler, right? So.
All right, real quick, Tom, and then I'm gonna let you put yourself on mute until we do plugs. What did you think of the show overall?
I thought it was good. I thought it was a B+ show. Long, very long, but you kind of get used to the very long WWE shows. It could be trimmed down a little bit, and I think they're trying to go in a new direction. Hopefully today we'll see a new direction from Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley and maybe Finn Balor, and all of those wonderful guys. But yeah, it's just long. That's just the only qualm I have with it. And Brock Lesnar.
Every reason Thomas hates Brock Lesnar is every reason I want him to be champion forever. Chris Sheehan, your overall thoughts, sir?
This show really showed me why they should have never stopped the brand specific pay-per-views, because they're cramming way too many matches on. This is way too long a show. So even the matches that are great, I'm just so damn tired. By the time I get to them, I just want it to be over. And if we weren't recording this today, I probably would have stopped at AJ Ricochet and come back to it later on. It's just way, way too long. I mean, we had the Intercontinental title open the pre-show. There's something wrong there. They really should go back to the well with the brand-specific pay-per-views so we can get more people on shows and not overblow the match listing, because this is these poor people sitting in the crowd. I don't know how they did it for as long as they did, but they had more constitution than I do, because this is a damn long show. It wasn't a bad show, but just too damn long.
I think people are showing up with like trailers and campers and shit to these shows now. That's how they're getting through them.
Neck pillows, yeah.
All right, baby doll, Chris Bailey, take me home.
Well, Daddy, you see, you know what? I really like this show overall, to be quite honest with you. Now, not that I loved it. I don't want to say that, and I did not love the length like you guys. However, I will say it's refreshing to see a show that had sensible finishes. They had a reason for these matches. You know, a couple of them went a little bit short. Every single match wasn't 20 minutes like we saw on the other two shows this weekend. But not a bad show, a lot of history, a lot of title changes, a lot of wasted effort too. And Brock at the end sealed the deal and gave me the left with the thumbs up here in Canada.
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this show. It's a B+ for me. Too long, but not necessarily in like I was bored sense. It was too long in the this is going on forever, I wanted to go to sleep sense. And I think this is hopefully a sign things are improving. I don't want the WWE to suck. I've enjoyed it since I'm 5. It would be a shame if I just walked away entirely and was like, fuck this product.
I agree, man.
So, you know, on to bigger and better things and more wrestling content here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. All right, Chris Sheehan, your podcast is on Podcoin. Tell them all about it.
Oh, it is called Chris and Reggie's Cosmic Treadmill. You could find us at, I don't know what our Podcoin address is, but you can find us at chrisandreggie.com. And actually, I don't even know if we are on Podcoin yet. I got to work on that.
You are on Podcoin. You are.
Really? How about that?
I got you. I subscribe.
Hey, about that. So, yeah, we are there. So you can find us. I guess you just got to search. There we talk about comics. Reggie's been under the weather for a bit, but we will be getting back to the main show, hopefully the end of August, early September at latest. For the time being, I am still continuing my solo show. Chris is on Infinite Earths, trying to get that out every Wednesday to just to fill time and not leave the feed stagnant. I also blog every day at chrisisoninfiniteearths.com. That's a different DC story each and every day of the week. Right now I'm focusing on the Action Comics weekly run from 1988 to 1989 and having a decent enough time doing that.
CB3, tell them where you be.
All right. I'm over on the Twitter at Charlton_hero. As well, you can find my retro ramblings over at the Superhero Satellite. Take a Google. You'll just find all kinds of retro fun when it comes to pro wrestling, comic books, and toys, whatever you got. And as well, I'd like to announce that my blogging contingent, known as the Superblog Team Up, will be returning on August, the last week of August, and we will be doing Superblog Team Up Immortal, which talks about all kinds of comic book fun and the fact that nobody really dies in comics.
There you go, and that's me. No one ever really goes away.
That's right.
Mr. TMC, do your thing. Plug your shite. Did we lose Thomas?
Nope, I'm here. You can find me on Twitter at Thomas_MCoff or on Instagram at Thomas.Coffin. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I loathe Brock Lesnar, so I'm going to start a petition against Brock Lesnar. I'm starting a petition right now that I do not want Brock Lesnar in Canada.
Okay, terrific.
We ain't signing it, Tommy. We ain't signing it.
File it next to the one that says The Last Jedi shouldn't be canon.
No, we'll take Justin Bieber back if you take Brock Lesnar.
Oh, that's a fair trade. All right. Thank you, sir. As for me, if I don't finish these plugs quickly, my wife is going to leave me here, and Moffat will be mad at me. So tomorrow on Damn You Hollywood, we'll be looking at the greatest horror movie I've ever seen, and I've only seen a few. It's a woman and her alligators and a house falling apart. It's fantastic. Hurricanes abound. It's the movie Crawl. What a show. We're going to review it for you, myself, Robert Winfrey, Alexis Haina, and the prodigal son, Jason Teasley. On the Metal Hammer of Doom, we've got the Texas Hippie Coalition, their new album. And if you've got that DC universe, you too can watch Doom Patrol. What a show. It was very interesting. 15 episodes, a bit meandering, but Alan Tudyk. Good stuff there. We're going Jesse and I will review it for you. What went up today was our Doom Patrol comic book show on the old source material. That was the 2016 iteration, or as Chris Sheehan put it, it's the band getting back together and confusing the fuck out of anyone who didn't read the Grant Morrison stuff. All right.
More or less, yeah.
This Saturday, some of you are going to be watching Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman. Myself and Pat Mullen are going to watch Plant versus Lee on Fox. You're watching Fox. And we'll do commentary. Comic-Con is this weekend. I might do some coverage of that if Marvel announces anything I give a shit about. Speaking of things I give a shit about from Marvel, next week we've got Cloak and Dagger, Shades of Grey. We'll have a review of the currently rotten The Lion King because critics hate remakes. Robert Winfrey will be on the Metal Hammer of Doom for Sabaton, The Great War. And Jesse and I are back together again to review Cloak and Dagger Season 2. What a weird show, everybody. Last week was Spider-Man All the Time. We had Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 4 on source material, a review of Spider-Man Far From Home, the new Amon Amarth album. Sean Comer and I actually made it to a show together, and we did an on-trial for Spider-Man 3. And lo and behold, Pat Mullen, Mr. Toxic Masculinity himself, flew in on his F-15 fighter jet, and we did a commentary for the cinema classic Iron Motherfucking Eagle, everybody. Go download that shit and put it in your pants. Iron Eagle. It was fantastic. Did it in the hospital, because that's how committed I am. Or maybe I should be committed. One never knows. All right, folks. My wife is giving me the eyes. She's saying, get off this podcast or I beat you to death. Or I beat the cancer back into you. So...
You are a horrible man.
Wow. You just Vince McMahon this podcast.
I did. All right. I'm going to put myself in a limo and blow myself up. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Cheers, man.
Dunkin' has a whole new line of handcrafted signature lattes. Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, and Cocoa Mocha. They're so delicious, you'll realize that you've been spending a whole latte time drinking the wrong coffee. So even though you've been together for years, it's time to say goodbye to your ex, Coffee Place. Because you've got a latte love for Dunkin's signature lattes. Sipping is believing with Dunkin's new handcrafted signature lattes, like Blueberry Crisp, Caramel Craze, or Cocoa Mocha. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
With Dunkin' Go-Tos, you can get a great deal on two of your favorites, like 2 egg and cheese wraps for $2, 2 bagels with cream cheese spread for $4, and 2 bacon, egg, and cheese croissants for $5. In my opinion, it's a deal that's pretty tough to beat. That's just if you want my go-to cents. If you don't want my go-to cents, it's go too late. Dunkin' Go-Tos, a great deal for $2, $4, or $5. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.